2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Sten Goldman, ESTV, and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Halfway through the race. 7 hours remaining of our 12 hours here at Matsusaka. I'm joined by Alex Goldschmidt. And, well, we left on that ad break with Mugen Sim Racing doing a triple vault somersault that probably would have picked up a 10 out of 10 at the Olympics.
Triple Salchow with pike, I think is probably the terminology I would use if that was some sort of... Yeah, that's basically an ice skating term. That was a hefty impact. I really feel for Mugen Sim Racing because the Lady Luck has not been on their side. First of all, the GT3 car, that's still 6th in the classification for that class. And now, Roland Zooks, he was in the pits for a significant incident there involving Viaductin, and I'm not too sure if there was a lack of awareness or something. I'm not 100% sure with Viaductin, but it was a clear cut across, and there has been a penalty issued. I have been informed that Viaductin gets one of the stringent penalties going. Stop go 60 for that incident. I'm not at all surprised.
No, it's well, it's unfortunate. I mean, with these incidents, they are never intentional, but sometimes you get these lapses of judgments. We've already talked about it's a long race in the night as well, and I think Viaductin just thought that there was a space that they could drop into before taking 130R flat, and they misjudged it, and very sadly for them, they've got a stop-go penalty. Even sadder for Mugen Sim Racing, they've dropped really far down the order. Roland Zooks is now sitting in P6. He's 41 seconds behind DIS, and he's about 2 laps off the GTE class lead.
Yeah, Robert Bourne has been on a bit of a binge of speed, as has Saba Kiss. I mean, they're trying to reel in Burst Esport Gooder Sunglasses. And that gap is, well, at one point, between 2nd and 3rd in LMP2, that was around about 33 seconds, I think the last time I looked when I saw, and now that's getting even closer still.
Well, just 1 and a bit seconds, and when we were talking to Robert Pawn before, they were saying that they were essentially just trying to push as hard as they can, keep their drivers fresh, and right now it is working for them. Just 1 second behind, and then after, or if Robert Pawn can get past Joao Pitaes, there is a further 30 seconds to Nabil Aslan. So your top 3, well, your top 4 actually in the LMP2, all on the lead lap right now. Meanwhile, further down the order, Adam State and B32 Racing, those two, they're still duking it out between the pair of them. We've also got a few GT3s battling, and actually, this one here is a battle for position. So I'm going to bring this one up on the screen because this is the 777 of DSR, Carl Lukagård at the wheel, right behind Jan Brodesgaard.
Jan Brodesgaard was a little bit further down the order, and you did mention before the break we're going to hopefully we might hear some team radio. We do have accessibility through the relevant channels for the teams here at gtr24h.org. You can actually go to, I think it's radio.gtr24h.org in order to actually listen in to the team discussions. But one of the things that has really, really impressed me, and I don't know who it is behind the wheel of the B32 racing car, but that car started stone dead last, as there's a little bit of traffic negotiation, because I'm on board on the left-hand side of Juice's Motorsport, and that is... that's the Burst Esports car up the inside!
And Robert Pawn using the traffic to his advantage to be able to close in onto Burst Esports. Our two battles that we were keeping an eye out for merging momentarily. However, it is still as it was before. Carl Lukagård behind Jan Brodesgaard. And meanwhile, up ahead in the LMP2 class, Robert Pawn behind Joao Pitaes.
I'm actually on board with Robert Pawn at the moment as they're going through the right-hand sweeper. And realistically, now we get a really good onboard shot from the number 15 heading into Spoon Curve. They've got DIS up ahead, and it looks like Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport on the 585 GT3. Oh, Robert Pawn having to wrestle with the back end of the car as he puts down the hammer down the back stretch, and he pulls to the right-hand side as DIS keeps on the left-hand side of the circuit through into 130R. Pawn has got to just keep it pinned. He's done that. He was in 5th gear at about 240 kilometres an hour through the apex and kept it as tight to the inside as he dared, and he's kept Joao Pitaes very much in the crosshairs. And this really, I did say about battles and exacerbating. This is proof in the pudding that this is one of them. But at the moment, with the way things stand, that Nabil Aslan is leading by the best part of 14 seconds, and really good to hear from Michi Hoyer just before the commercial break, Yusuf, that he said that they're running their own race, we're running ours, and we're looking for victory, and that's the biggest goal that a lot of these teams have. But at the moment, Sem9 Axel have the check advantage before any checkmate happens when we cross the start finish line to complete the race.
Absolutely. I'm just starting to think, where does Robert Pawn want to make a move? He's clearly faster than Joao Pitaes. He's closing in by over a second a lap. Last time around, 3/10, although that was because he closed up to the back. So you can't really go faster than the car ahead when you're right on their rear end.
And also, looks like they've got the GT3 class leaders. And you said that this might please one Alex Goldschmidt. Well, yes, I am pleased because Glam Racing are leading GT3 at the moment as both LMP2 cars battling over second position sweep their way around the outside of the number 404 Glam Racing car, currently piloted by Lee Russell, as Robert Pawn trying to keep into the wheel tracks, keep in that aerodynamic toe of one Joao Pitaes as the run down to 130R continues. And Pawn looks to nose up the inside, decides better of it. He's got plenty of opportunities around this circuit as Unison Racing in the 717 GTE car runs a little bit wide coming out of 130 up. But look, their line is stone through the Casio triangle. How is this one going to turn out? Because straight away the headlights goes Joao Pitaes, and Robert Pawn is in the slipstream down the start-finish straight.
He's right on the rear end of the Burst car. He's going to look to the outside as Burst go defensive. Joao Pitaes on the inside, but Robert Pawn can't hold it round the outside. He looks for potentially a switchback, but unsuccessful, and he's going to have to sit in third for a little bit longer.
Yep, air temperature 16 degrees Celsius, track temperature 26 degrees Celsius, as the two LMP2 cars, the 94 and the 15, battling their way tooth and nail. Robert Pawn just keeping in the wheel tracks, keeping on the same line as João Pitaes from Portugal as they go through Dunlop. Ferris wheel now very much ablaze with the LED lighting. Through into the Degners they go, down on the brakes, down the gearbox, into the right-hander, now underneath the bridge, and Robert Pawn got all kind of a little bit wide going out of the second Degner, but he kept it pinned, kept the throttle down exactly how he needed to, and he's looking towards the inside through the hairpin. This is going to be a run through his viaduct and pulls to the right-hand side through 200R. We ride on board with Robert Pawn on the approach to Spoon Curve.
Viaducting doing a good job to get out of the way at the earliest possible moment. They don't want another incident like they had just a few minutes ago, but Robert Pawn still searching for a way through on João Pitaes. They make their way out of Spoon Curve. Now the Deuce's car can sit, tuck in behind João Pitaes, and maybe have a go into the final chicane, into the Casio triangle, into 130i is always going to be crazy. It's a long race ahead. You don't need to risk everything right now. But it just seems to me that the 64 Burst car just has a little bit more straight line speed, maybe running slightly less downforce on their prototype.
Yeah, very much like how teams run at Le Mans. They'll have a high downforce package and then a low downforce package, but you can tweak it here on the Eureka 07s. And back in the slipstream goes Robert Pawn. They pull to the right hand side. Pawn was so close to the wall, he's pulled to the outside, round the outside. He does an M&M, but they nearly clash going through the second half of the first corner, and Robert Pawn, he's going to keep it pinned. He's going to get the inside line for the next left-hander. Juices are through for second. Epic setup by Robert Pawn, and João Pitaes had to fall in line for third position. Epic stuff.
And it all started coming out of the Casio triangle. João Pitaes, he lost the back end momentarily, and it just meant that Robert Pawn was able to get alongside on the run towards turn 1. Fantastic defending from João Pitaes. Great respect between the two drivers, keeping it close but never touching. And for a second I thought I saw someone going sideways through turn 1. But in the end, Robert Pawn gets the job done. Now, he is 43 seconds behind Nabil Aslan. This is for your LMP2 class lead. Time for Deuces to get their head down once again and do the hard work.
You know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to get an onboard replay from Robert Pawn, how he just absolutely sent that from a country mile behind. He really teed it up well. And then we go back to the 777 DSR car. Carl Lukegaard still running behind the wheel of that car. But very shortly I'll have that teed up very soon indeed. But it was an epic.
That's wide from Jan Rødsgaard, and that means that Carl Lukegaard is going to be able to find a way through. Easy does it, down into the hairpin. In the end, didn't have to do it the hard way. Was just able to wait for a mistake. As well, that almost went terribly for Teleforeningen. They lost the back end and almost ended up hitting one of the LMP2 cars. It then goes on the grass to try to find a way through.
Right, we're going to go on board with Robert Pawn as he absolutely sent it like a good one around the outside. Here we go at full racing speed. So Pitaes pulls to the right. Pawn nearly goes into a little bit of a clash with the wall. Pulls to the left.
And this is just bravery.
That was just absolute cojones, I think, is the terminology I would use right there. He kept it pinned, and you can just see, I'm going to try and get another angle here, how he just literally just sent it through. And I have to give credit where credit is due to João Pitaes for keeping the foot pinned and trying to keep from Robert Pawn going around the outside. But Robert Pawn would not be denied. He had the bee in his bonnet, the bit between his teeth, and he got the job done.
Yeah, they left each other enough room. Robert Pawn actually was sideways at one point through turn 1, so my eyes were not deceiving me. But he kept it, and he kept it on the circuit, and he got the job done. Honestly, my favourite move of this race so far.
Yeah, very much the case, as we see Adam States in the 7th place Satellite Racing 264. It's not been an easy start for the season for this crew. However, they are going to try and get to the end of the race, and they will still get points in that particular car. You've got Schwanner Meyer, Tom Kapusta, Sebastian Lukasic, Jan Granqvist, who took the opening few stints, and then Adam State from Great Britain, now behind the wheel of GM's finest offering in the sports car world today. and has competed all across the globe. Yusuf, anything that's picked up on your radar just now? Because I can see it. I can see in your eyes that there's something happening, and we need to know about it.
You might like this one. Guess who's the fastest driver out on track?
Go on.
I'll give you a hint. Not in the top 10.
Oh, Alistair Young by any chance?
It is indeed a 47.2 last time round. The quickest time aside from that is actually Robert Pawn in the LMP2 class with a 47.3. But Alistair Young is trying to carve down this gap between himself and Arturas Mazaitis in the 33 Adrenaline car. Currently 70 seconds between them, but that gap will be dropping down, and don't you guys at home worry, we'll be keeping our eyes on it as well.
You know what, I think you haven't asked me about liveries yet, have you?
No.
Not that much. Not that much, but
you weren't here for the morning show. That was a livery show.
I know it was a livery show.
Honestly, when I saw you out there, I wanted to let you in. You looked like a cat out in the rain.
Oh, thanks. I don't look like a drowned rat, thank you very much. And no, it's not raining outside.
I didn't say rat. You are like, if you... Did you call a cat a rat?
Well, if it's wet, it's going to look like a drowned rat. That's what one of my friends normally says.
I think
but there we go.
You've seen some weird cats.
I don't see many cats that often. But nevertheless, we carry on regardless, and we're getting...
Okay, so Kieran and I, we did our favourite liveries. What are your favourite liveries for each class?
Maria Rinak's going to love me for this one. Glam Racing, definitely.
Okay, what's your second favourite livery in the GT3 class?
Second favourite livery?
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest here. I like the B32 racing car.
Okay. I can respect that. That's a respectable decision.
Do you want to know my third one?
Yes.
CKR. Because the thing is they've gone very patriotically Brazilian. Oh, moment for Viaducton I've just seen. Oh, in the wars again is the number one car in DPI. That was going through into the Casio Triangle. But as I was saying, CKR, I love the fact that they've got the Brazilian flag, national flag, on the car. And what's more, we were talking about driver names when we were roasting rides last year, weren't we?
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I actually thought when I saw that. Because my issue wasn't the fact that they had the names. It was the positioning of the names. And we can actually bring up the car and call... Actually, no, we can't because it's in the pits. Call it constructive criticism. I think that the names were too big and they were just slapped onto the side of the car rather than being properly positioned, in my opinion. Indeed. Because this is all subjective, of course.
Yeah, I do have to say that I have started to find a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for the 717 in GTE, because it's something very, very different. You know, it's something that I would...
Have I ever shown you my Ferrari 488 livery design that I did with some friends? You
can probably show me that a little bit later on, because I would be definitely very interested to see that. We've now got the 67 back out on track, and that has got behind the wheel. Roland Zook's back again, but that incident that we saw earlier on was significant, and that has now put them down into 6th position when they're at one point battling with Manuel Biancolila and João Barbosa at one point for what was going to be...
It was a four-way battle for the lead.
Yeah.
So it's a big shame for them, but this... I always like to bring this up whenever we see incidents befalling teams, or as Kieran would say, your mandatory issue. Sadly for Roland Zook, it's a bit larger than some other drivers' mandatory issues. But these are the points that make champions, right? This is an endurance series. It's a long series, 6 races. If you have an issue here, that doesn't matter. What matters is that you pick yourselves up, damage limitation. You can still win all of the remaining races.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let this get to you. There could still be plenty of issues that affect other drivers. And one of my other favourite sayings is, if you're in a 12-hour race and you are 25 laps behind before 6 hours ends, you can gain that all back. It's only half of the race, so whatever happened to you can easily happen to everyone else.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is the words lady luck that I mentioned earlier on is one of those things. You know, people say, well, I don't believe in luck. You know, drivers do have superstitions. You know, they'll get into a cockpit a certain way, or they'll put their left shoe on before their right, or whatever. And it's just one of those things. Some people I know don't have any superstitions at all, but they will be hoping, praying nigh on, that something might transpire. And as I was saying, the luck for Mugen has not been with them this round. Next round at Monza, you know, McLaren's good in a straight line in GT3, the BMW's good in a straight line in GTE, so there is an opportunity for them to claw points back. If they make it to the end of the race, they are still going to score points, and points make towards the championship. You know, you can't just sort of lick your wounds and go, no, we're not going to carry on. If they've got if they're still able to carry on, keep pushing. You never know what's going to happen in front of you.
Honestly, you're talking about Lady Luck, but considering Mugen in 2021, I honestly think someone in that Mugen camp married Lady Luck, divorced Lady Luck, and took the kids with them.
And opened Pandora's box at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand with that one, really, to be honest with you. I think there could be... Well, Robert Pawn, I've just seen, I think is coming out of pit lane.
We've got a DNF. I'm going to try to grab a replay of this, Peter, because Angel Benegas has DNF. So I'm going to jump on board and rewind the clocks a bit.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on what's happened there, but just having a look, we are trying to get some of the drivers will be completely focused. They may not be saying anything on the team radio channels.
I think you might need to get the replay up, because my camera is the one on the screen.
So, okay, so we're talking about the MCM motorsport car, where I said that pink is the new beige.
That is what I said.
After you, yeah, so you said that.
You stole my saying and didn't credit the original owner.
All I'm going to say, well, you didn't see my message where it said watered down BWT. So...
Yeah, but you got the credit for that.
Yeah, well, watered down. Yeah, so my apologies there. Right, we're going to move on. Crockmeister. I'm going to try and see if I can find the 27 and get an understanding. Oh, B32 has just had an off in the first Degner. And they are currently running in GT3. They're currently running third. They've got... so I'll have a look in just a second with regards to Angel Banganas from MCM Motorsport, the number 27 car, the Aston Martin. But, okay, so let's just see. I will try and track that down, good sir.
I'm also keeping an eye on another battle that's coming up, and it's not even a inner class battle, it's an inter-class battle. Robert Pawn behind the 64 of Lorenzo Di Quitis. Now, Robert Pawn has dispatched one of the Burst Esports cars. Now he's going to try and dispatch the other Burst Esports car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might take me a little bit of a while to get this.
It's a long way back now.
It's a long road, as they say.
Because we don't even know when it happened. I just saw DNF. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's... yeah, so... I'm going to say, please hold caller on that one. It's one of those things, but yeah, it just goes to show that I sort of put the commentator's curse on saying, yeah, we got 28 cars running, and then I was instantly brought to my attention, there is the car in the garage, so I'm actually winding the clock back. So I'm gonna get that replay. Come hell or high water, I am going to get that replay to find out exactly what happened with the number 27. So we're having a bit of a reverse time lapse at the moment. Yeah. So it's going to take a little bit of a time, so please bear with me.
While that's happening, Robert Pawn is all over the rear chuff of Lorenzo in that 64 Burst Esports Simplexity car. But can he get a move done? Because we know that the DPI is faster in a straight line than the LMP2. And that might make things a little bit tricky for Robert. Now, I think if Lorenzo is smart... Actually, no, I was going to say Lorenzo should let Robert through so he can close into Nabil. They can fight and that allows Drow to close in. But actually, Lorenzo should hold Robert up so that Drow can close in.
Right, okay. I actually have the footage... Quite surprised about this. So when production is ready, we'll go to the replay. So the car makes its way down pit lane. 164 Satellite goes in front. Car pulls into the pit box. Okay. car goes up. So the timer already counting on the top right of the windscreen, normally where you'll see, as we have got a yellow in Sector 3 that's been retracted.
Okay, so what goes wrong? Okay, it gets dropped.
This is where it gets interesting, because the car now drops onto all four wheels. Car's been in the pits now for 25 seconds.
Everything seems normal. Honestly, this feels like an extract out of David Attenborough show right now. It's like a majestic MCM car in its natural habitat of the racetrack in Matsusaka.
In the pit lane comes the car.
But little does it know,
there's a surprise in store. there's a surprise in store.
For the Studio 397 issues are approaching.
Danger lies ahead, they say. So 56 seconds in the pits. We want to do this at real time. Okay, so the car's about to go into the lane to go out of the pits.
Why is it going... What?
Okay,
Why is it so slow?
just watch. This is where it gets interesting. Car is crawling. Not up to full pit lane speed.
I can walk faster than that car.
Yeah.
What? Huh? Okay, and now it goes, and it stops again. It feels to me like the driver's trying to change some settings as he's driving off.
I'm wondering if there's been an issue and it goes straight in the garage. Now I'm wondering if there has been a failure or there's been a problem if there's been a driver swap.
It can't be a driver. The thing is, if it's an issue with the wheel, he'd pull it to a stop, try to fix the issue, and then go again. That is bizarre.
Yeah, so that's basically the story of MCM Motorsport in a nutshell, and that car is tumbling down the order. So that is what I felt very, very odd, and it took me quite a few... It could... I'm wondering, is it fuel? Well, the thing is, that car was in the pit lane for 56 seconds, so...
I'm going to hold that thought because juices are right on the rear end of a certain burst car, actually touching through the 200R corner as they're making their way through. Spoon Juice is so close to the rear end, desperate to try to find a way through as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one to keep our keen eyes on over the next few moments, because Robert Pawn is not hanging about. He is on a mission, and that just goes to show how pumped up these drivers are, and they're about to go, oh, is that the Maradna Sea-Stars car I spy in front of it? Yes, it is.
Yes, Maradna's. Why have I been saying Burst Esport this entire time? No idea. There we go. I was thinking I was trolling somewhere, and I indeed was. Okay, Juice is then behind Maradnas. At least I got the driver name right. It is Lorenzo de Sweetis. Mm-hmm. Pronouncing that completely incorrectly, I'm sure.
I think there's been a note in the chat that I've been getting Eros Masciuli's name wrong.
Yeah.
Apologies.
That's my fault. I'm the resident Italian. I should be getting that right.
Well, the thing is if it's German, Austrian, I shouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
Masciuli, I would have thought is probably... please correct us if we are getting some of these surnames wrong. We can only apologise about that, but... a big thank you for Eros for getting in touch a bit earlier on. We're now on board with Robert Pawn. And that car is now leading, considering the fact that gap between them and Joao Pitaya is... Oh! There was nearly a little bit of a touch, a little bit of a rub between the two cars as they were going through. But Robert Pawn was able to keep it out of harm's way. And, well, the thing is we're about just over 34 minutes or so until we hit halfway of the 12 hours of Matsusaka. This time, Yusuf, has absolutely flown by, hasn't it?
It has. I'm trying to think what we were even doing. We were talking about best liveries. We haven't even got through all of the best liveries from the class. We just did GT3 GTE. So, with that teaser in mind that Alex Goldschmidt will reveal his favourite liveries of the LMP2 and the DPI classes, we're going to throw into a quick break. And the coolest thing about breaks here at GTR 24H, you still get to see the on-track action.
2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Aztec Sim Sports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.
Six and a half hours remain of the opening round of the 2022 GTR 24H Endurance E-Racing World Championship. It's the 12 hours of Matsusaka, and it's Alex Goldschmidt and Yusuf bin Suhail back with you once again. Yusuf, it has been an enthralling race so far. We're just a cusp over 30 minutes away from the halfway point. There have been multiple, and I mean that sincerely, multiple talking points, multiple dramas. But we saw, I think, one of the best moves so far with Robert Pawn round the outside of João Pitaes for P2 and LMP2. It was a joy, a privilege to bear witness right in front of our very eyes here at Matsusaka.
Honestly, this race, Alex, call me a McDonald's advert because I'm loving it.
Well, you know what they say, Tesco's always say that every little helps. There you go. It's strap lines come in. It's all that marketing jazz that we keep on getting pumped into our brains at random times. But the and Kieran McGinley is nodding his head side to side as if saying
Kieran,
no.
You know you loved it. Kieran, try something new today.
Oh God, here we go. Right, back to where we were. Let's give you all an update. Yusuf, can you take us through Hypercar and LMP2 in the current running order of things as we speak?
I could. So, am I mixing and matching the two classes?
I would say DPI first, then LMP2.
Okay.
I'll do GTE and GT3.
So, leading the DPI class is number 18 Burst Esports Simplicity of David Mroshek, who leads the DPI class. Then we have Lorenzo Di Sweetis in the 64 Maradness E-Stars car, currently sitting in second. Then Alexei Mizin in the 17 Unison Racing, ahead of Alistair Young in a recovering SEM9 axle car. Then Arturasa Masaitis in the 33 Team Adrenaline, running in fifth. And last but not least is the number one of Team Viaducten. Meanwhile, in the LMP2 class is João Pitaes, who leads for the 94 Burst Esports Gridar sunglasses, but they're on a slightly different pit strategy, different pit timing to Nabil Aslan and the SEM9 axle, car SEM9 axle, showing a lot of pace so far today. Robert Pawn in the 15 Deuces Motorsport car sits in P3, having recently made their pit stop. Meanwhile, Marco Slanzi in the 164 Satellite Racing car sit in 4th ahead of Matej Varga in the 77 Team Iris car, with Alexei Zagorodnev in the Cyberlinks Racing. Alexei jumping into the car for the first time since he picked up that drive-through penalty for overtaking on the formation lap.
He was quickly put on the naughty step thereof. GTE at the moment, it is the 54 MPE Porsche 911 RSR GTE of one Manuel Biancolila leading the way ahead of Wojtek Bolesny from the Czech Republic with Juices Motorsport Club, who we are on board with now. The gap between them is around about 77.4 seconds. That's a minute and 17.3 seconds at the minute. Nikolai Bezrukov, a further well over 1 minute and 17 seconds adrift in third. The recovering Roland Zooks after that massive incident just over, probably the best part of nearly an hour ago, with the contact with Viaduct and going under the bridge towards the hairpin, and is still in 4th position. Good recovery from DIS Sim Racing Lab, who were languishing at the bottom of the timesheets earlier on in the race, but obviously both Yusuf and Kieran caught up with Andy Kirsten a bit earlier on in the broadcast. Adam State rounding out the top 6 with Michael Pedersen completing the 7 cars in GT. We have had 2 retirements, I'm afraid. Angel Banganas from MCM Motorsport, a sudden return to garage in the pit lane after a 56-second pit stop, with Eros Mashuli from Musto Pescara, MPE number 53, the defending champions. Unfortunately, Eros suffering internet dramas due to a localised storm in his locality. And GT3, it is the Glam Squad, Glam Racing leading, having taken 2nd in time qualifying yesterday evening. They lead the way by about 8 seconds. They're on an in-lap at the moment. Magic Kasperschik from Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport in the 585 makes it an Audi 1-2. It's the McLaren 720S GT3 of B32 Racing, who started stone dead last. They actually made their way to the front of the field, and they were ahead of Glam Racing. They were showing good consistent pace. They're running in the 201.8s at the minute. Carl Lickergaard still keeping the DSR Gadgethuset Dottico 777 Callaway GT3 in 4th position, with Thomas Brenjegard for Teleforingen in the 188 BMW M6 GT3 in 5th, with Adam Serej after dramas from Mugen Sim Racing, last year's vice champions, ran at the top 6, and unfortunately, due to issues from a technical perspective for CKR, the Brazilian squad, the number 13 McLaren is unfortunately out of the race and was one of the first casualties falling by the wayside.
And I'm genuinely really happy for B32 Racing and DSR, because they've been racing with GTR for a long time, the LMP2 class struggling. They've moved to the GT3 class, and they are involved a lot more in these races, involved in the battles for the lead. We saw mainly DSR in a 3-way battle for the lead, or 3-way battle for second, and they ended up sadly having some issues. They've dropped down, but their pace is still there. B32 Racing, on the other hand, only about a minute down, a minute and 15 seconds behind this 2-way battle for the lead. 8 seconds between Lee Russell and Masi Kashprish. Meanwhile, up ahead, we have a certain Nabil Aslan, who I am riding on board with, closing in onto Joao Pitayas. This is the battle for the lead in the LMP2 class. Robert Pawn a further 52 seconds behind.
Yeah, gap between them is about 1.5 seconds as things stand. We still ride on board with Wojtek Bolesny from the Czech Republic. Absolutely stern face of concentration. The 1,000-yard stare, very much being engaged for the number 74 driver, doing a great job. We did see that in terms of time qualifying, Juices Motorsport brought back the 2-pronged assault that they started with last season. And you know what? They were on the back foot in LMP2 earlier on in the race, a couple of incidents. But then we saw some brilliant racing from both Sabakis, absolutely pushing like a madman. And then we saw a perler of a move around the outside of Burst Esports Good sunglasses by Robert Pawn to make sure that they got that position. And you know what? Their strategy is working. For now, I might hasten to add, because you and I talked about keeping drivers fresh. You're not 100% a fan of that, but at the moment it seems to be working for them, and they're enjoying the challenge. That's what these drivers are here for. It's a challenge to race against such great competitors.
Absolutely, they're showing phenomenal pace, and yeah, as I mentioned, not a huge fan of switching, chopping and swapping the drivers between every stint. But if the drivers are comfortable with it, if the drivers find that helps them more than essentially having the chance to, what's the term for it? Having the consistency, being able to get into a rhythm, because in endurance racing, rhythm is such an important factor. If they can get into that rhythm quickly, then the strategy works, and right now, it's working for them.
Yeah, as soon as they get their tyres up to temperature, Yusuf, and the colder air now that we've got surrounding the track here at Matsusaka, still at 16 degrees air temperature, 26 degrees track temperature, 0 millimetres per hour of rainfall predicted. Let's have a look at the weather map if we can, from weather.gtr.
I don't think we can get it up, sadly.
Right, okay. Well, the thing is, the skies are free and clear, as I can see on the weather map at the moment.
Apparently, the weather map is available now.
Yep.
Unless I have misread signals from production.
Probably they might not be able to show it on the screens, but you can head to weather.gtr24h.org to get that information, which I'm actually looking at right now as we speak on the secondary screen on the desk in front of me. I've nearly tripped over my tongue there a little bit. A bit of a tongue twister, unduly wanted, right there from yours truly.
I got some information from production. Apparently, our weather helicopter that goes over Matsusaka to get information has been hit by a storm, so the helicopter can't get there, and yeah, that's why we can't get up.
So I'm effectively getting it from the nonchalant blimp that is probably about 15,000 feet upwards.
You're getting it from some third-party source.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust that. No.
I was going to say, I'm hoping that a virus does not hit the PC too hard here. But, yeah, it's clear skies. There is no drizzle predicted. There's no light rain, no heavy rain, no storms, no hail like a particular race.
Bit boring, isn't it?
Nürburgring, 24 hours a few years ago, if anyone might remember the hailstorm. Really?
No.
That was a few years ago. I remember that one like it was only yesterday, but still really good to see the drivers. And one of the things that I don't think either you, me, or Kieran have really talked about it, right, Yusuf, when we've talked about going from the braking points, the turning points, the marker boards. When it's during the daytime, it's fine, but when you get into the middle of night, like we are in right now, it's going to be a case of seeing how the drivers adapt. And we saw several teams yesterday go quicker in the nighttime qualifying. Glam Racing was running, amongst others.
I have a list of them here. So, right, I'll just list the teams that went quicker during their qualifying night stint than they did during their day stint. So, the first team that shows up is Satellite Racing, the 164 in the LMP2 class. Then we have the 17 Unison Racing in the DPI class. We also have the 33 Team Adrenaline, the number 1 Team Viaductin, Mugensen Racing, the 67 car. That would definitely come in handy for them right now.
Yeah.
Who else do we have? I'm still scrolling down. Not many others. Glam Racing, the 404 was one. They went 3/10 quicker roughly.
That's quite a lot.
Further night. CKR went identical in both, so they just don't care. For them, it's just someone turning off the light switch. And Teleforeningen
also
that's
went harsh. Turning off the light switch. It's like put you in pitch black, sir. But coming back to the liveries, you wanted to know my choices for LMP2 and DPI. I'll be completely honest with you. With DPI, I actually do like the Unison Racing. It's very discreet. 17.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to get it up on screen, boys.
Oh,
okay, yeah, it's very nice.
It is very nice. I think that's a really nice one. I'll be completely honest with you. I am a bit of a sucker for a traditional style livery. So the number 18, Burst Esports Simplicity.
Production, could we get my screen up on the feed so I can showcase these wonderful liveries that Mr. Goldschmidt is talking about?
Well, that's the LMP2 car, I think, for Burst. And I'm a bit of a sucker for traditional liveries. Here's Unison Racing, the number 17. And once you get it really under the spotlights, you're going to see these colours, these flecks of colours really, really pop. And one of the things I like that they have done is that on both cars, they've actually put some of our partners' logos on there. So
They
as
have.
Tech Sim Sports, Sten Goldman, Film Vault Limited. I like the fact that sometimes the eye is in the detail, and from my perspective, Unison Racing is really good. I do also like the Sem 9 Axle livery as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's. I'll get that one up.
I've actually got that one on my screen at the moment, the DPI car.
Oh, you want the DPI car?
Yeah, so we're talking DPIs at the moment. I haven't come on to LMP2 yet.
No, you haven't.
So I like the fact that there's a nice, I like the sort of like the 50-50 split on the front cowling.
Right.
Where you can actually see, so the car comes in white, so you've got, the sort of like the deep yellow on the left, the blue on the right, and yellow and blue go very, very well together. So it's a nice, and I like the sort of like the kaleidoscope sort of look on the side of the shark fin as well. Very, very nice. And obviously this design has improved from Axel, because
So you think it's an improvement from last year?
I like it. I like the improvement from last year.
As I said to Kieran, I really like the top half.
Yes.
I really like the bottom half. I don't like them putting it together. It's like a cheese and onion sandwich. Love cheese, love onions, but together,
Okay. Point taken. But those are the three that really stand out for me for DPI. As Alistair Young gets up the inside of the 54 of MPE's Deegan Fairclough, one of the many Brits that are actually in this field as well. So good to have some of the Brits trying to fly the flag, so to speak. I do like what Team Iris have done with the LMP2 car. I really do like that, because you've got the deep purple with the black on the front of the car.
So this is a car that I really like.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Oh.
And I like the accents. They actually complement the livery as well.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, this isn't the one that I really like. This is one that Kieran really liked.
okay, so what's the one that you really liked from LMP2?
Behold, in all its glory.
Oh, hang on, that was we switched.
It's in the pits. it's this car. It's the 241.
Cyberlinks Racing.
There we go.
I understand. I mean that's actually in that top two as well for me.
Okay.
The third one, it's a bit of a difficult one, but I'm gonna show deference to the newcomer. I do like Juices.
Don't praise him. I'll go to his head.
I already said that when I called him a superstar DJ.
Oh no.
The other day. I think we might be getting another interview very, very shortly. I'm just being given a heads up. Reference one of our GT3 competitors very, very soon. So hopefully when we get the heads up from production, we'll hopefully have them with us. And Chris Buxton will be joining myself for the first of 3 hours in about 14 minutes time. So we're just waiting for a heads up from production when we get the go ahead. But yeah, those are the sort of like the three liveries. So you now know my top three in all respective classes. So if I throw myself under the bus, I will take the full blame.
See, I'm going to have to get Kieran back in, because Kieran was adamant before about, no, Yusuf, you can't do three liveries, you can only give your favourite livery.
Okay, well, there we go. We've got one of our GT3 compatriots in the house. Gert Nielsen from Teleforingen. Good evening. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Good evening. Yeah, I'm fine, and hopefully you are too.
Yeah, we're all good. Good to see that you, after discussions between yourself and me via email, we talked about possibility of the M4 coming on board, but you went with the old Trojan workhorse from Munich, the M6.
Yeah.
Car looks lovely, Gert. I mean, how's things with the team at the moment?
We are just fine, and I think right now we are P6 or 5, something like that.
You're currently P5 at the moment. I see that Thomas is behind the wheel as things stand. So three driver lineup.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting one out here at Matsusaka, isn't it? We've had so much going on.
Yeah, and that's it's a track that is difficult to pass, and well, it's interesting when you are in the GT3 class and with all the other cars are faster. So, but we manage.
That's the main thing. Now, Gert, for the
hopefully without any trouble for anybody, but I think we got a one. No, not. That was our sister car in the GT that got a drive-through and something like that.
Yeah, they got a slap on the wrist and a trip to the naughty step. Gert, just to let the viewers know out there, how long have you been a part of a driver lineup here in GTR 24H? Just to give the folks at home how much we respect.
Since 2007 or something, I think that was the first race.
So, from the very beginning, 15 years. So Teleforingen, who are working in conjunction with ID SimSport. I know that Thomas Brenjegard is one of the drivers with you. He normally will be. I've had multiple conversations via email, and that just goes to show that you guys have been part and parcel, and to now have the best part of nearly 30 cars from 4 different classes, to be a part of that must be a really, really good feeling that hits you square in the chest, in the heart, and says, yeah, we're really proud to be part of it.
Yeah, we have fun with it, and I can feel now that I'm 66 and the speed is not right on the top 10 class, but we are with it for having fun, and hopefully we can this year meet to the big LAN event, and so we can chat with the other teams and so on. That's
And hopefully we can chat with you in person. Yusuf, have you got any questions for Gert?
Just quite simply, what are your goals for the overall championship, and do you see any particular teams as like your rivals for the season that you would really, really like to be able to beat?
No, we are. I think we are not in the run for winning the championship. There is too many strong teams. But could we be in the top 5? It's the last time we had in 2000 and I think it was 20. We were ended in 5th place. So could we do that again? It will be very nice. So we will see. And but we are mostly with it, for the fun of it. So and we have a very nice sponsor. I shall just put a reply to get some money, and they send a check. So that's that's fine.
Brilliant, Gert. Well, listen, tusen tak. Thank you very much for joining us, and all the very best of luck for the race.
Yeah, thank you, and have a nice evening.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Gert Nielsen from Teleforingen. 66 years young. That's great to see a character like Gert, who's been with GTR 24H as a competitor for 15 years. So he was in his early 50s when Teleforingen made their first foray into sim racing, and it's all about the banter, it's all about the fun, it's all about the crack. That's what it is. That's what draws people like Gert back and back again every year, doesn't it?
And it's great that we've got such a diverse grid. We've got the ultra competitors. We've got the likes of Burst Esports, Axel, Yusuf. Yeah, the list goes on. But then we've also got the young blood of Viaduct, and we've got the older drivers as well, who are still here more for the passion of racing than to win.
Yeah, I think you could probably compare. I'm going to make a little bit of a real life to sim racing comparison. If Gert Nielsen is the quintessential gentleman driver for GTR 24H, I think his possible doppelganger in GT Am is Aston Martin's Paul Dall'Anna, who's a significantly well-connected businessman, and he's in his 50s, and he still races at Le Mans and races in the World Endurance Championship. So you can see a little bit of the correlation there, and it's really nice to have a character like Gert being part of this field. We're now seeing that is going to be the lead car, Daniel Mrocek from Burst Esports Simplexity, coming into the pit lane. We are on what's now going to effectively be 191 laps very shortly, as James Juba, that name rings a bell here at GTR 24H. He's now in the car in the 64 Maradnis E-Stars car, going across the line. And that will give James the opportunity to have a bit of clear air as we ride on board with Maciej Kasprzyk from Poland for the 585 Valente Racing by Azatec SimSport car. And guess what, Yusuf? They are trying to close in. And it looks like, we've had a change of driver. It looks like Alexander van der Voorde is behind the wheel of the leading GT3 car. So I know for a fact we're just over 9 minutes away from the top of the hour once again, as we're going to hit half distance, and then we bring in Mr. Chris Buxton. But also good to see the perspectives that we get from the drivers that are in the meeting on the Google Meet. Arturas Mazaitis, full VR, full immersion, when there's no room for triples.
You know what, I tell you what, Arturas Mazaitis, if he saw the incident from Mugen Sim Racing, I think he's glad that didn't happen to him in that rig, because there would be vomit everywhere. I timed that to try to get Alex to spit out his drink.
He's thrown me under the bus when I didn't even realise it. 1-0 to Yusuf, I'll get you back later. So he did a bit of a... He could have had nearly a sim racing version of Mark Webber way back when.
But the unfortunate thing is he actually has to clean it up, whereas Mark Webber gets someone else to do it for him.
Yeah, someone gets to do his dirty laundry.
Yeah. Also, we've got battles. So, you've already touched on the one that was on our screens with Glam Racing and Volante Racing. DIS Sim Racing and Alexander Zakharov. Unison Racing having come out of the pits, about 6 seconds between them. Unison Racing, though, a little bit quicker. Wojtek Polesny, 14 seconds behind Deegan Fairclough in our GTE battle for the lead. And those two are matching times as well. So things are fairly close around the board.
Oh, they're getting even closer in GT3. Let's see if we can head to that lead battle as the top two cars, the two Audis, filter their way through the Degners. And it's getting rather close. 585, Magic Kaspershik closing in on the GT3 car. That is Alexander van der Voorde, if memory serves me correctly. Unfortunately, the last bit of his surname has been... Oh, my goodness. Kaspershik catches a slide coming out of the hairpin, going through into 200R. Now they're going to head towards Spoon Curve. Up the incline here. Line astern of the two Audis. Who's going to blink first? Kaspershik looks to nose up the inside. Van der Voorde runs wide, and oh my goodness me, that was epically close. But Glam Racing for the moment hold on to the lead. The gap is about 1/10.5 as they go down the back stretch, pulling gears. They're now going to be up to 6th gear, and both cars will head into 130R. It's 6th gear, 255 kilometres an hour from Kaspershik as they go through a little bit of a wiggle from the Glam Racing Audi, but it keeps a hold of the lead as they break into the Casio triangle down from 6th to 1st. Game on in GT3.
Glam Racing hard but fair, slammed the door shut through Spoon Corner, but the battle isn't over yet. Volante Racing tucking in behind in the slipstream on the start-finish straight, too far behind to have a look into turn 1. He's got to show his nose, just show his lights into the side mirrors of that Audi up in front. Glam Racing in the Audi R8 Volante, also in the Audi R8, so there's no difference in terms of car manufacturing. There is a difference in setup, and you can see how much more aggressive we're seeing. Masish being looks down the inside. That's it. Is going around, a bit of contact that might unsettle the purple Glam car. But will it give an opportunity for Volante? Not quite through the very tricky Dunlop curve, and it is still Glam from Volante.
Yeah, that was Robert Paul, and I think both cars got to frighten up. The inside goes Team Adrenaline. That's heading into the Degners of all places. Oh, wiggle from Glam Racing right there. They managed to catch it. Alexander van der Voorde doing a cracking job to hold on, but Magic Kaspershik is reeling him in. That gap was 1.5 seconds. It's less than 1/10.5. They're going to go through the hairpin. Glam Racing keeps it wide, keeps it pinned, hammers down the throttle. And Kaspershik is still not giving up, not giving in. This is the battle for the race lead, and we're 5 minutes away from halfway of the 12 hours of Matsusaka here live on GTR 24H. This battle is one for the ages. We thought we saw it enough with Burst Esports Good as Sunglasses and Juice's Motorsport going through the first corner with Robert Paul filtering it round the outside. But Van der Voorde has really got to keep his wits around him. He will be told by Henrik Hoyer and Maria Rinhack, right, just keep it pinned. Wait and anticipate what Kaspershik does behind you. And this is where it's going to be crucial. A little bit wider coming out of 130R from the 404 Glam Racing Audi. But Kaspershik using the car as a braking marker. They're nearly touching bumpers going through the first part of the Casio triangle as they both power out of the final corner. As Van der Voorde pulls to the inside, Kaspershik in the toe.
This is the closest we've seen two cars on the start-finish straight all race long. Glam Racing leaving a little hole on the inside, but it doesn't matter. Mashi looks for the outside, almost collides with one of the satellite racing cars. Can't make it down the inside or outside into turn 1. Looks for the inside into turn 2, but is unsuccessful. And this season of the Endurance E-Racing World Championship is already shaping up to be the best season we have ever had. We've had battles all race long, battles between the leaders in every single class.
Well, this is getting really, really close. We're going to keep with this battle as now towards the inside of Dunlop goes Kasparczyk. No room there at the end, I'm afraid, for the 505 Volante Racing by Azatec Simsport car as they hurtle their way through the Degners. It's about half a car length. It's not even that through the second one. And under the bridge they go as traffic makes its way towards 130R. It's now the run down through the right-hander, through to the hairpin. And here comes Kasparczyk up the inside. Clash between the pair. He's got to let them through because otherwise there would be a protest sent right on in. But Van der Voorde has absolutely got the fire lit. He's like saying, "Hey, Sunshine, you got to do better than that to get past me."
Look, I love dive bombs as much as the next person, but Alexander Van der Voorde was completely within his right to turn in. Mashi was not alongside at the apex, and we can see this on the instant replay. Van der Voorde trying to defend Kasparczyk and looking from side to side. He goes down the inside, but the Glam Racing car's already turning in when he gets his nose up alongside, so not quite the right move. However, heading into 130R, still nose to tail. Can he look for the center dive? Instead, he's going to look for the outside. How late does he go on the brakes?
Right, here we go. Van der Voorde's got the inside line for the Casio Triangle. Neatly shuts the door firmly in the face of the 585 Audi as they come through the final corner. We're going to keep this battle as long as we can. But to be completely honest with you, this is where it's going to be really, really crucial because now Van der Voorde has got a lead. It is a slender one in the battle for GT3 as they hurtle their way through. They've got the Mugen 67 BMW GTE car closing in on them hand over fist. And they've got to watch what happens now because any compromise for any of these two drivers will mean that we'll be denied of what has been a titanic battle over the last 5 to 6 minutes, and it's still waging on. No one's giving an inch, no one's taking a mile. Through the right-hander now, they're going to head into the next few corners. Through the Snake Complex, the 67 Mugen BMW trying to pull around the outside of Kasparczyk. Goes through the inside and could thread the eye of the needle, which happens now. The BMW's in the middle of the two Audis through Degner 1, through Degner 2. The first thing that Alexander Van der Voorde has got to do is just let the 67 go past. And that's Jorge Balog. And there we go. You know what? Van der Voorde had the presence of mind to say to Gergo Balog, "You're not getting past, mate. If you want to get past, you've got to do it on track." And he did exactly what he did previously to Magic Kasparczyk on the previous tour, going through that hairpin. And Kasparczyk is wondering, come on, mate. Oh,
He's
wide
gone
from Glad! Wide from Glad. This is going to give the run through that they need, but still Van der Voorde hangs on by a thread. My goodness.
Van der Voorde on the marbles. He's not going to find as much grip, but he's still been able to get the traction out of the corner. He's got the slipstream from the BMW, and it's what's stopping Maciej Kasparczyk from finding a way through, from punishing that mistake from Glam.
Well, through 130. Oh, run wide again. Run wide again. This is going to open the door. Is it going to be a break fest? It is. Volante to the outside. They squeeze Glam Racing, who give a little bit of an assist from behind and a flash from the lights. You know that Alexander Van der Voorde not happy at all.
I think that was a little bit too aggressive from Maciej Kasparczyk. He just turned across Alexander Van der Voorde. Maybe he thought that was payback for the incident between the pair of them that happened moments ago into the hairpin. But what we know for certain is that currently on track, Maciej Kasparczyk is ahead of Alexander Van der Voorde. That will be sent in by Glam Racing to race control. That will be investigated. And I have a feeling that either...
Oh, keep your eyes on Cyberlinks. They're going to open the door here a little bit, I fear. We're going to keep our eyes on this battle. We're going to go to a commercial break. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. The 2022 Endurance E-Racing World Championship brought to you in partnership with Viper Gaming by Patriot, Azatec Simsports, Global Flix, Motorvision.tv, Stengolm, ESTV and Film Vault Limited.
Racing for Green is here to help you carbon neutralize your racing. By planting new trees, Racing for Green offers to make your racing carbon neutral. We already have the calculations, contacts, infrastructure, deals and solutions ready for you to easily buy carbon neutral laps on any racetrack. It doesn't matter if you are a racing fan, team owner, driver, sponsor or partner. Anyone can buy CO2 neutral laps in the Racing for Green webshop and trade CO2 emissions for New Forest. Racing for Green.